another inspiring edition of Morning Market Call. I'm your host, Rhett Weller, here joined by co-host Dave Wood. How you doing, Dave?
Good.
Good. Today we want to talk a little bit about Apple. Dave, what's going on in the world of Apple?
Well, Rhett, we've had a couple really interesting developments in the last week or so with Apple. The first and foremost is that Apple's market cap has passed a psychological $300 billion barrier. I guess it's not just psychological, it's actually money, which makes them number 2 in the US, right behind ExxonMobil. That means that Apple stock is so wildly overpriced that they are on par with oil.
Wow. Well, I use oil, I use gas, but who uses Apple products?
I guess you do.
Yeah, that's my phone and my iPad. And
okay.
Yeah. Well, thanks. So rumor has it, regarding the iPhone is that Apple will be moving away from the, sole contract with AT&T. What do we hear on that front?
Of course, Apple runs a real tight ship. They make sure that we don't know very much of what's going on. That way they can use the world's media as their marketing department. What that also means is that all we have are rumors. So to match that rumor, basically what the rumor mill is saying right now is on the 11th or so of this month, we may get an announcement for new CDMA Verizon phones, and hopefully we'll be able to see those phones the first quarter of this year. So pretty soon.
Wow, that'd be great. I think it would alleviate a lot of my network problems with my current carrier, have people switch over. So, apart from the iPhone, there was some more news in the Apple world this last week.
That's true. We had an interesting development. It's called the Mac Store. The Mac Store was, now not to be confused with the App Store.
Okay.
And this is a brand new thing. They just released it last week, and we got to get our first hands-on try just last week.
Okay, so what's the Mac Store? What is it?
Well, as an Apple aficionado, I'm sure you've had the opportunity to use Apple's App Store. That's one of the reasons that makes the iPhone so popular and also so difficult to switch away from to, say, Android or the Blackberries. But with the Mac Store, it is actually an opportunity for you it's an icon that sits on your desktop, and with an internet access, you can go on and download full-fledged software applications for your PC or Mac.
Wow. So you can download these applications. Am I still getting my 99-cent games, or what am I getting?
Well, I'll tell you, when I first heard about this, I was actually, I thought it was a disaster. I thought that's exactly what I'd be getting. I'd be getting Star Wars lightsaber apps and whoopee cushion apps and all kinds of freebies that were basically just over-expensive advertising things, which work really well on an underpowered smartphone, but is not the kind of thing you'd expect to run on a full-fledged laptop, such as the MacBook Pro, for example. But when I actually went on to try it, I was actually surprised. First of all, the breakdown of prices with the Mac Store, they're not 99 cents. This is not your mom and dad's app store anymore. These are full-fledged software applications.
It'd actually be my little brother's app store.
Yeah, your little brother's app store. So on this program, and again, it's just starting now, but as soon as developers figure out just what an advantage this is to them, I think we'll see just about every major software program available on the Mac Store.
Now we do see, let's talk about those advantages a little bit for the developer and the user. What type of advantages would the Mac Store give to that community?
Well, we know that the App Store has they currently, I believe it's a 30% cut goes to Apple and 70% goes to the developers, which is, I think, significantly increased from what developers are typically seeing with brick and mortar sales of their wares. This is the same thing. We're just talking about bigger price points. So imagine Photoshop, which let's say runs for $500, or some of the bigger software programs. If they're not going to be able to make the same amount of money selling it in Walmart and Barnes & Noble, since there's a third person. With these direct stores, all you do is download it.
Wow. While you were talking, one thing I thought about is one of my favorite things from my iPhone is that when I download a program, it works. I don't download some clunky program from the internet that may not work in the Apple system.
Well, that is what we call the closed environment. So Apple right now owns all the hardware, and this is one of the geniuses of the Mac Store. They own all the hardware. They make all this, they source it, they assemble it, they design it, but the software has always been something that has been open to anyone. And in addition to the hardware, I should also mention they own, of course, the operating system. Now with the Mac Store, they're extending that pipeline a little further to include anything that is submitted to the Mac Store goes under the same rigorous review that the App Store currently has, which means Apple now gets a piece of the software sales that go into the Mac. So another main advantage about this, let me ask you a question.
Sure.
Over the last 5 or 10 software purchases that you've made, how many of those were done through a CD?
Wow, it's been years.
Yeah, it's the same with me. I think what we're realizing is the same thing that happened with music CDs, same thing we're seeing right now with DVDs. I think we're seeing it right now with softwares. It's all going digital, and Apple has just found a primary way to just channel that conduit all the way to their coffers. So not only is it easy for us, it's guaranteed to work, and there's increased profits for everyone, but the brick and mortar Mac stores. So sorry, you guys, but Apple trumped you again.
Wow, pretty cool. Well, Dave, I have one final question for you. Does this mean that I'll finally be able to get Angry Birds on my Mac?
Yes, at long last. Your dreams will be realized.
So I can waste time in class playing Angry Birds on my computer as well.
Not during class.
Well, not during class. Well, thanks, Dave. Appreciate you coming on today talking about Apple. This is Rhett Weller and Dave Wood saying thank you and have a good week.
Morning Market Call is brought to you by the Marriott School of Management in cooperation with the Brigham Young University Department of Communications. MMC is made possible by generous donations from Larry Tasjan and Gary Williams. This show was produced by Jeff Butler, David Wood, and Doug Mumford, with line producing by Beth Grimmett. For more information, please follow us on Twitter and Facebook.